Hey, what's up, Rubits? Hey, this is going to be a fun video today. I don't know if it's going to be a great big long one. You'll see from the time stamp, probably because I'm going to have to do a little customizing and come back. But today I'm going to be talking about not this guy. This is not the main guy I'm talking about. I'll show you the main. You might have seen this the screen grab. So anyway, I'm not a dinosaur guy. That's not my jam. I am a robot guy. My brother is a dinosaur guy. He has quite a nice collection of dinosaur toys and stuff like that. When he was a kid, he wanted to be a paleontologist, and I guess it's always stuck with him. This is from the Hammond collection, Jurassic Park Hammond collection. It came with, I don't know, the dork that is played by Chris so-and-so. I don't like the new movies. I think they're pretty goofy and stuff like that. But, you know, I'd probably check them out for like a summer flick on an afternoon, you know, drinking a few beers or whatever. This came with the Hammond collection, a 2-pack. With a little fox toy as well. I do have the fox toy somewhere. Anyway, we went up to LA, which is not very far from us, and we went to the Mattel tent sale. They had a tent sale, and these were, I think, $3 for the 2-pack. And now I can't find them anywhere less than like $13, $14, $15. So I should have got more, because this is my favorite, and probably, I believe, my only dinosaur toy, other than a Zoid's Iron, or Dark Horn, that's right. He's just such a nice little build, such a nice little look. Also, he has these, I guess they have these chips built in for some reason. I don't know what all that is about. But look at that sculpt. It's really, really neat. He's not super posable and stuff. You know, he can do his little arms in a funny way like he's flying. But it's just a really, really nice little dinosaur. And anybody knows where I can pick up a bunch of these if you happen. I would love to have like 5 of these things. They're just fantastic. This is not why I'm talking to you today, though. I wanted to show that as a comparison in size. So let's sit him in the back there. That's the little sister, little brother, whatever. Get in there. Here we go. So let me grab this big boy here. So I just grabbed this the other day, and I'm having to zoom way out on my camera, about as far as I can, to put this guy into the shot. It is so freaking good. It's just, again, I'm not a dinosaur guy, but I saw a reviewer, more of like an action figure toy guy, do a review of this. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, it's so dumb considering my collection. It is a big Tyrannosaurus, but I mean, it was just such a nice, the way he presented it, and I was like, oh, the FOMO, man. And I'm not a FOMO guy normally. I am somebody who I have, if it's not in my wheel, I'm trying to turn him around here. If it's not, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm knocking everything around. It's not in my wheelhouse. If it's not my robot thing, then I tend to not really care. But I saw this, and then I saw what he was doing with it, and just, I'll have to link to his video. I'll have to give him props, because he did a really fun video showing this. It just, you know, it's hard when you're doing action figure stuff. You get a lot of little kids and stuff, you know, to your videos, and you're an adult collector. But I like people who understand that these things they're for fun, you know. And he was having a really good time. So my idea, though, because I knew this from the other Jurassic Park toys, that this is the mega size, something like that, Tyrannosaurus. They also have the long neck ones. I'll link them. I'll put some on my Amazon page, and I'll link to it. You don't have to buy on the Amazon page, but that's just my good bookmark, because most everybody can use Amazon. It was $50 for this. Now, he paid $75, and it is listed at Target for $75, the same price as the long neck. Oh, I don't know, whatever they're called. But on Walmart, you get these guys for $50. So what I did is I searched. I didn't sign into the Walmart site or anything like that. I just searched through Google, and then Google will bring up the Walmart search icon. I put it in there, and then I found it for $50 at my local store. I don't really have many Walmarts around here, but one of the local stores. So try that if you can't find them. There seemed to be quite a few in stock, maybe 5 or so. So maybe you get lucky at yours. I don't know, because I have a feeling once this thing blows up, because it's just, this is a good centerpiece. So what I thought of doing is putting this on the top of my shelf. Maybe I'll put a picture in here illustrating that. But putting a good dark wash on it. As you know, I love a good dark wash. So I took this normal 30 minutes missions kit, and literally, I'll put, if you want to see this video, is a few videos back, and literally just used an oil wash on it in like 10 minutes, and you get the really pops all the detail. I'm going to put all these things here because this shows a good size comparison. All the details pop out. So you can see all this great skin. Look at all this detail here. Now I'm switching lights, so you might get a little darker. All this great skin. Really, really nice details. The teeth look a little plasticky, but the tongue has a gloss. This is amazing right here. Amazing. So this will look really good, dirtied up. He has this really, really this is it's just pure joy. It's just pure joy. It really, really is. I couldn't imagine seeing this. Now, I have a neighbor who has a brand new baby. He's just a year. So he was walking around, he was taking the trash out, and he was carrying his baby with him. He's a really charming little baby, as babies are. And I set it down and I said, hey, I put this little monster here. I want to see what he thinks. But I didn't want to scare him. And as they came around the corner, the baby saw it and eyes got big and immediately looked at his daddy. And his dad smiled and said, oh, and the baby started smiling and laughing. He loved this so much. He was like playing with it like a puppy. And then he ignored it and went on to play with the dirt or something. But I thought it was a really nice little moment where you could see the baby seeing how the father felt. And once the dad was cool with it, the baby was cool with it. It's really, really, really fun to see that. Because I was really worried when I set it down. I said, oh, I didn't even think this could scare this kid. I would feel so horrible. So it comes taken apart. It comes, let me see if I can reposition a bit here. That's my computer there. This is one of my little workshop area, if you're wondering. It comes taken apart. The legs are off and the tail is off, that big long tail. Now, this is something I'm going to recommend because I'm running into this now. If you plan on painting this or anything, there you go. That's a little better. It shows my desk a little bit. This is where I normally film. It's just easy and fun. Don't assemble it because now I have to figure out how to disassemble the legs. They kind of pop into place. And what's really cool is they have a nice ratchet. So let's see if I can get it. So you can see it has like so it's solid. It's not the same as the premium ones that you get that have a lot more articulation and stuff. The ones that are a little smaller. This is meant to be just a big play piece, I think. So it's all hollow. But he's also hollow because he has this nice play feature. Let me show you. Let me see if it'd work on his little buddy here. Maybe it'll work. Let's see. I don't want him to get stuck. Let me squish his legs down. Let's see. So he swallows stuff, and then you're able to go in here and pull him out the guts. It's so simple. It's just a hole in the throat, goes down to his gut, and you can pop it out. It's just a simple play feature because his arms don't do much. You know, they're his small arms. They just basically rotate a little bit. The legs, you really, once you get in position, you leave him there. He can kind of go down a little lower, I believe, to look like he's chomping something. Let's see. So he can go down that low, which is a little bit too low. So if you put him like this, it's a little bit more like he's running. And see, he's still pretty solid. So what he's going to do is go up on my top shelf. Now look at this. This is one of my favorite action figures. I love this little Fortnite action figure. Look at that. Bam. He's riding on the back. You know what would be absolutely brilliant? And I'm sure somebody has already thought about this, if they aren't already doing this. If you remember Dino Riders from back in the day, you could just imagine building like something like that for these guys. But with this one, to build an actual, first of all, get some nice wash in there, pop out all these details, build a nice saddle for him, strap it down to where you could have 2 or 3 people riding on it, maybe even like a little house thing or something. It would just be really, really fun because you have so much room to work here. I think it'd be cool to have just literally a little saddle here, have a couple action figures on it, wash it up, and then he goes on my very top shelf because he's too big to go anywhere else. But I like I said, I'm not a dinosaur guy, but I think once you customize and stuff, it's really going to fit as just a neat, really, really neat centerpiece. It's really, really fun. It's nice and light because it's hollow. I have a feeling if you hit this, dropped it on like, say, a curb or something, it might shatter. It might crack open. You know, so there's that. But I imagine that you're going to have a lot of people buy this that just want a giant centerpiece kind of toy. So what I might do, I don't know if I'm going to attach it to this video or put out a second part later. The washing takes no time at all, but I've got to do, you know, I work and stuff like that. So I might just throw a quick wash on it. The reason I was concerned about taking off legs is I wanted to take them off so that I could wash just a leg at a time because that crease is so visible. It doesn't really need to match that well. It's so strong. Just paint the leg because it's a oil-based wash, so you can cover a lot without it drying, but it does have some acrylic in it as well, so that kind of makes it dry quicker. So I wanted to just do a section at a time, take off the tail and all that I'm going to look up, if anybody, any one of you know in the comments, let me know how to take that leg off. If this is up in the full part where I've already customized it, cool, whatever. But if it's up just in this first part, just showing the toy, let me know how to take these off, because now I think you can rotate it to a certain angle and they come out. Because when you assemble them they are that way. And as a matter of fact, while I'm here, so what I did is you turn it to a certain angle, and then it popped in. See, the tail goes pretty good, but it doesn't do much. But that's not bad. You can kind of curl the tail a lot more. You can see that. Not bad. I'm wondering if you can. It's very awkward. If you can pop it back out. And that's my concern, is how to get that popped back out. I don't think the feet rotate at all. No, the feet do not. So I'm going to have to look that up so that I can pop those off and then paint. I actually kind of prefer them up a little bit. Like that. That's how I prefer him, like he's roaring. As a matter of fact, on the shelf, he looks really cool like this. You open that. Look how wide. And I love they've included the little side skin stuff. It looks really, really cool. Well, I mean, look at this. And then she gets on. She's like, woo. Let's see. Look at that. He's screaming and running into battle. So fantastic. So fun. Just a nice little joyous toy. Like, imagine being 10 again. That's what I always say. I don't buy toys to recreate my childhood. I had a great childhood. But imagine being a 10-year-old with toys you have nowadays. But anyway, I've got to figure out that pop. Anybody knows, let me know. Because if worst case scenario, I can build up to this area and it's not really going to be a problem. I can kind of brush into there. And then if I had to stop, let's say, for example, because it's such a big toy, that area could dry and I could come back in later and it's not really going to make a big difference. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I've mixed up my, put this to the side, I mixed up my paint here, or what I would call my wash. I used quite a vat of it. This should be plenty. I used a little blue, a little brown, and then some black acrylic in there. So two oils. You know, you're just make something dark. Doesn't have to be perfect. Here I've got some paper put down. This stuff is great. Go on Amazon or something like that. You get a roll of the craft paper for, $20 or something like that, $12. I can't remember how much it was. Get you an old brush you don't really care about. You're going to be getting your hands really dirty, of course, as well. Let me kind of put this to the side so you can see. Let me turn it down a little bit because I'm going to probably let her stand there. What I'm going to try to do is, because you can't remove these legs once you assembled it, so I had to assemble it for a review, but now I'm having to paint it while it's together. That's not a big deal, though. It should be okay. But it's pretty sectioned here, so I could get up to here. If it gets over a little bit, it's not going to really matter. And because it's oil-based, it shouldn't dry as quick. Get you an old t-shirt, and you're going to take it like that and wipe it off. You're going to get really, really dirty. Put that paper down like that, craft paper, and then you're just going to kind of go nutty on it. Let me show you here. I could probably, let's see if I could, hold on one second. See if I can rearrange this a bit. I'm going to attempt to sit down a little bit because it's going to take a lot. So let's see, turn her a little bit like this. This should be good. I'll show you here what I basically do. So you literally just take it. You're going to take a whole bunch of it. I should start at the feet. Probably shouldn't I? So let's turn that down, actually. That way we see what it looks like. Give you an idea. There we go. So I'm literally going to take it and put it, just goop it on, just a bunch. Now this is the same as it goes for every location. You do have to make sure you press it really hard so you get in all the gaps and stuff like that. Now, like I said, this should not dry very fast at all. See, I mean, I'm literally caking that stuff on. You can't even take your hands and rub it in like this, which I've done before because this stuff does wash off. You might not want to let your kids do this or whatever, but or if you have work the next day, it might stain your hands a little bit. And then you're going to really, really goop it on. Let me get this leg painted up and I'll be right back. So I actually found it easier just to rub it on with my hand. It's, like I said, just get messy. You buy take off your wedding ring and get you some some gloves, I would recommend. So then I'm just gonna literally just start wiping it off like I'm trying to clean it. And it's pretty dark, so it's gonna look really dark. We're literally just gonna wipe it off. And hopefully it comes off well. If not, I'm gonna have to highlight it again. So let me do that. Okay, so real quick, here is where I'm at. This thing is so big, it really kind of ruins everything. It's hard to do. Couple pointers real quick. I used a blue and a brown and a black. So there's a blue base on the white, meaning the color, like the teeth here, areas. Let me get, it's so unwieldy and wieldy. As you can see, it's making them green. So what I'm going to do is there's a lot of little spots, and you can see it all on my fingernails and stuff. There's a lot of little spots here I'm going to touch up. And then you can then go back actually with like a dry brush color. Let me scoot this up real quick so I can sit down and explain it a little bit. So like for example, these little scales here, for example, they seem like they're, I'll probably actually still get some paint off. Let's see. Not really. It's starting to dry pretty well. Oil paint it can take months for an oil painting to dry. So this usually will be dried. See, that's still wet in there. It usually be dried pretty quick, but for the most part, but as it sits there. So anyway, this area looks great, as you can see, because of all the nice little details in the mold. You couldn't really see that as clearly before, but I didn't notice, and you're not going to really make it perfect, that because of this lighter area, which is also whiter in color, that it will take on like a blue color. I'm fine with that because dinosaurs, we don't know what color most of them were. So, but you can see how much more the little cracks and crevices and details come out. You can definitely see seam lines a lot more when you do something like that, so you got to be careful. What I thought was really interesting here is up here on the seam line. This is a really well designed little giant toy. What is that? It's like a hole. What is that? Anyway, I'll look at that in a second. Where they put the seam line, they actually have these spines running in the middle, so it really kind of hides the seam line. Because it's a really nice design. What is that little hole? That is strange. Is that the ear? Maybe an ear hole or something? Anyway, the yellow of the eyes, yeah, as you can see, they're covered in there pretty good. I'm going to wipe that down. You can actually go back and retouch that, but you can get like a dry brush if you want and hit this back up with something else. I don't tend to do that. I let the thing do its, kind of do this, the mold and everything kind of do the talking for it. I love the big chicken feet. These are great because after all, birds are dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are birds, whatever. You can see how much I put on here. That's so you can kind of go back and continue to wipe. Just literally take a series of napkins or whatever and wipe. Now there's a couple pointers. Also, real quick, I did these little bots that I have. These are little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bots. I have several of these. They're still not dry. So what I've discovered with stuff like the little toys, you just handle them. You can just play with them like this, and you're gonna pull off some of this wash. I wouldn't even really call it a wash as much as a mud bath. You're gonna pull it off as you mess with it, and over the next day or two, you mess with this. Be careful, you'll get it everywhere, but you'll realize it'll really start to take a really natural look as far as where the ink or the wash kind of settles. So I always mess with these for a while, like for the day that I'm done with them. You can see it's still kind of smudging there. That's so cool because that's what happens in real life. This is that fantastic Star Trek Odyssey. What is it called? What's the cartoon called? It's still very wet. I'm gonna be wiping this down some more. So I'll be messing with that one. But you can see how much better they look. I like the super filthy looking design. But you can see all the muscles pop out. There are going to be little spots where that might be a reflection. There, but little spots where you miss. Up in here, what I noticed too is you've really got to turn the leg several times and really shove some of the wash and or mud in there to really goop it. I grabbed an old towel. Towels are probably your best bet. Get 2 or 3 of these. Everything else just absorbed too much, too quick. And I'm telling you, this made a huge mess. I got some on my chair, so my wife is going to kill me. Luckily, we don't really care about the chairs. This is a half a roll. I used basically one full roll of paper towels. The tail was really fun to do because you got to grab it like this and just wipe it all. I literally just grabbed the goop and put it all over like I was, greasing a pig or something. So the tail looks great. And again, this is just a basic. Let me see if I can stand this up here a little bit better. There we go. This is just a basic thing you can do. It formerly had a brown color. Now it has a greenish. You can still see the brown under there. Greenish color, especially blue here. So I might continue to wipe this down to get it back to more of a white. And I might highlight that. And interesting enough, you can see the little brownish colors happening there. The mouth came out really cool. Again, just a really simple thing. You can see areas where I missed it up in here that you might touch up. And also make sure that if you do something like this, you close off parts. You move it around and you manipulate it so that you get it in the underneath there, so you don't have any gaps. For example, in the tail, because the tail is so posable, I had to just basically keep turning it, applying it everywhere, and you really just cover these things up with cover it with the goop and the mud, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna take a photo. There we go. Take a nice photo for the screen cap, and then just wipe. Do me a favor though, especially if you're a kid and you have parents. Maybe set up this paper on the floor, like cover a 10-foot section of paper, and just sit on the floor and do this. Wear old clothes. Even though I was being careful, I still got it on one of my favorite shirts, and I might have ruined the shirt. My wife's going to kill me. But most things are not this big. Most things you're going to be using are like this big, and little action figures and model kits. It's not usually a problem, but for something this big, you definitely want to. You definitely need to. Put a nice big area. I had to flip it around and get the underbelly. I'm still wiping it down. Make sure you turn the legs over. But other than that, it's just, as I said before with these washes, even if you use lighter colors, they tend to darken up everything. Everything gets way more dark. You've got to just be kind of cool with that. Or you can come back like with these teeth and add a little extra color. Like I'll probably either wash those with an oil remover, like a linseed or something to kind of take that off. But I got to be careful because that rubber, I don't want it to melt or anything. So I'll probably just touch it up, literally take a dry brush of white. Because, why would he have perfect teeth? At the same time, he shouldn't have green teeth. She shouldn't, I'm sorry. Really cool. I love this toy so much. It's amazing for $50. Make your goop, dirty it up. Maybe get 2 of them, and another pro tip, do not assemble it. If you're going to do this or type of painting, paint each part separately. Because there is such a seam here, you can get away with that. It doesn't need to fold, or I should say flow into each part. Definitely take these apart, tail and the 2 legs, leave them apart while you paint it, and then assemble. That would be so much easier if I had just those smaller parts to do. Okay, so I pretty much have her done here. I could do so much more. There's so much more you can do to this massive, awesome toy. Literally all I did is I washed it. The wash was blue based because that's all I just wanted. That's the only color I had left, so I just threw it on there. And it kind of gave it this green hue, which it still has. Excuse me. But so what I did is I got basically a kind of like just a basic craft paint. Let me show you here. This stuff you just get at Michael's. Don't go to Hobby Lobby. Literally just some basic flat, it's just they're $1.29 or whatever. A lot of people get fancy paints for this stuff, but you really don't need to. And you just literally brush it on. You get you a brush. I'm to show you the brush I used. So you just literally, I just used a basic brush here. Again, you could probably just get a real cheap one. You don't have to get anything fancy. This one actually falls apart all the time. But I do kind of like ones that are really soft like that, but also have like a shape like this, like not a hard one, not a hard edge, because you're kind of trying to imitate like a makeup brush. You just put some of it on a plate. I like plates because at first they're kind of non-absorbent, so you don't really get it dry. But as you build up the layers of paint, they help make dry brushing easier. So you just take a little bit, wipe it off on here until it gets really pale, like almost, like powdery. Excuse me. And then you literally just like almost like you're taking a fingerprint. You can hold it like this really gently, You know, here on the teeth, I still want to add more color because there's still some green on the teeth. The mouth came out incredible. I love how it looks there. See, so that works really well in the mouth. That nice dark on the side parts here. I might clean this up here, maybe add a little bit of some gloss. The eyes, I'd like probably to add a little bit more brightness to. It's literally, this was just mud, all caked in mud, and then you wipe it off. But what I decided to do is highlight where the green, mostly green, the highlight here, the lighter color, and you just basically you're just barely brush it on while it's white or while it's dry, and that just hits the tip, and I left kind of the dark stripes. So it's not really strong, but it's pretty strong. What's really nice is the legs. You really see the sculpt here, which is really fantastic. You can do a way better job than this. The idea here, though, is because she's so big on your shelf there, you don't need to do perfect. You just need to I always like to say, stuff doesn't need to look perfect. It needs to look done. Like you're just finished. And one thing I'm trying to do here, if you notice, is I'm really trying to only hit the upper portion. So you see where the light's hitting there, along with the muscle shape or whatever. So underneath, I don't really have much of it on. I kind of just left it because underneath she's not getting the same light. So you're kind of giving an impression of light, which also gives her volume. Down the tail here, I just hit these scales, and down the tail I just kind of hit the top. Now I've got it in a position I kind of want to keep her in. So normally you want to move it in every possible position and dry brush every part or whatever, but she's going to go on the shelf and kind of just sit there looking incredible. I'll show you in a second. I highlighted her little tiny shoulders. I'm not really going to move these. You can see I highlighted some of the hand parts. The claws I went ahead and highlighted a little bit, but I didn't quite like with a bright. But you can see they do have a wonderful sculpt. This thing is just really nice sculpt. And you can see the mouth, how cool that looks. It's just a fun, excuse me, I really enjoy stuff like this because with a quick wash and a quick dry brush, you really just get you get a toy that was $50 that looks quite a bit more expensive, especially if you do a better job than I did. I just did this really quick because the dry brush brings out all these incredible, somebody spent all this time and carved this out. I don't know if they use clay or digital or whatever, but you can just see the wonderful texture. It's just really nice. Like, again, you might want to put it into position. So, like, see these two veins don't quite line up. Let me see if I can. There you go. I lined them up just a little bit more. You don't have to worry about that stuff. So if you're going to reposition her, you might want to close it and reopen it and stuff so that when I close this, I'm not leaving a blank spot like that. I don't really care. It's just supposed to be for fun. She's supposed to be looking like she's screaming. And then this could be her little pilot lady. I thought this would be funny. I had her in the photos. Let me put her real quick. Check that out. This is one of my favorite action figures. These little Fortnite ones, used to get these. They would have them on clearance for $5. And that is such a fun action figure. I really would like to wash her, other than her face, but to bring out all the details of the jacket and stuff. But it's just that's a 112 figure, so it gives you an idea of how fun it is. I was thinking too, like Dino Riders from back in the day, which if you don't know what that is basically dinosaurs where they would mount like armor and build them into tanks and stuff on them. It's really cool. This would be really fun to have like a platform. This I have so many guns and weapons from different model kits. These are the guns from the Gundam. Psycho Gundam, right? These are massive. I will not use these for anything, but could you imagine, let me see if I can, could you imagine mounting those like that? You can even take those apart into two guns and have one on each side. So there's just a ton of fun options for this lady. She's just such a great, again, for $50, a little elbow grease, you get a really cool looking dinosaur toy that again looks quite a bit more expensive than it should be. I was shocked at this, but now I'm just so happy that I've got her because I'm not a dino guy. I'm a robot guy. I'll show you in a second, but it's just going to be really cool. So let me pause here. I'm going to put her up on the shelf. So there she is up there. You can see, let me see if I can scoot. My office is a bit dirty right now, and I'm redoing my shelves as always. But you can see I like large scale. This is still being filled in. Large scale bots, model kits, stuff like that. I've got my Joy Toys. That's just some foam core I'm using for something else. And I don't like mixing stuff too much, but this I just couldn't resist. And there she is up there, along with Mazinger, some gum, just some random toys, Lightyear toys. But see how cool she looks? Would be really cool, because I don't use lighting right now. I've had lighting on my shelves for the longest time. Is to put a really bright, striking light below her there. Of course, the light, according to a paint job, comes from above, but you can see how neat that would look. So see, I'm looking up. And that's, let me see how far back I can get without tripping. So you got your collection, and then there's that great. It's just so good. Just such a fun piece. It really is just, I didn't even know that it was going to be that fun, but it just really, really worked out. It's really, really fun little thing to work on. So holler if you have any questions. Let me know what you think of it. Her color's not bad. I can still get you. I'm used to the kind of greenish color. It looks more like a lizard, like an iguana almost. So pretty cool. Take it easy, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.